Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking, Fogbound Turtle, and we are back. So this is part 3. As you can see, we're about to reach our top of descent. We're ready to go down. I want to show you something. As you can see, let me just bring this up. I've set my altitude to 7,500. This is where we're going to descend, right? And we want to descend at the same speed I'm going right now, which is 280 knots. So like we've done in the previous video, if you've watched it, we're going to use this button right here to descend. And the way it works is basically your throttle determines your vertical speed. So as we bring down the throttle, this arrow here will go down. And this is 1,000 feet per minute. This is 2,000, 4,000. And it's going to determine the rate of descent while maintaining this speed here. And this is what we want. We want to descend at 280, and then when we reach around 10,000, you have to be below 250 knots so we can actually reduce our speed. Obviously, this is going to change the rate of descent as we do that. But here we go. Let me just change the range here for a second. We're about 10 nautical miles on top of descent. So what we want to do, we're going to start right now. Speed. And then I'm going to reduce my throttle. As you can see, as I reduce my throttle, I am changing the speed under which I'm descending. And if I increase the range right here, see there's a line. And that line tells me when I'm going to reach my speed, which is here. It says at this point in my flight plan, I'm going to be at 7,500 feet. So we can watch that and make sure that it matches what we want. We're supposed to be at 10,000 feet or at peak, and we're going to be at 7,500, which is pretty good for what we want to do, guys. This is what we want. So I'm just going to increase this. You don't need to go see. This is our descent. I don't have to touch anything. It's the beauty of this is it's a managed descent. So it's like a VNAV, basically, even if the aircraft doesn't have a VNAV. It's understanding that this button speed is like your flight level change in another aircraft. And it makes everything so much easier to manage. I don't have to do anything. I could just go here and watch the beauty. And I know my aircraft is descending. You see right now, nothing to worry about. The only thing I need to worry about is basically once I reach 10,000 feet, I want to bring my speed down to 250 knots because that's a restriction. I don't even have to do flaps. So one thing I want to make sure to take a look at this is here. This is the airspeed limit for the flaps. So this is very important information. I can do flap 1 and flap 8 at 230. And then flap 20 also at 230. But I really have to be at 230. The first 1 and 8, it will complain that you overspeed, but it certainly will at 20 flaps. Then at 30-degree flaps, you have to be below 185. And at 45-degree, which is full flaps, have to be at below 170. Now, if we go back to our performance setting, we are going to land at around 129 knots. So we are going to need full flaps probably to land. We're pretty light on fuel. So, and we're still descending at the rate where we wanted to. Our line is still around spec. Life is beautiful. Descending at 3,000 feet per minute. You have to make sure that we're not too low. Now, if you think you're too low, I don't see any restriction here. It just says that we have to be above 7,500 at breeze. That's the only restriction I see. Everything else is good. By the way, if you want to know, the A in front of this means above. If it's a B, it's below. So I don't see any restriction until the vector. So we're good to go. can admire Salt Lake City area and let the plane do all of the work. We're already at 20,000 feet. Hopefully I do a great landing for you guys today. When I'm recording, I never know. Sometime, just the nervousness of having the recording can impact your performance when you're landing. There's a little bit more pressure because I want to do a great landing for you guys as well. So yeah, so pretty much this is it. If you think it was difficult to descend with this aircraft, that you always have to play with the throttle, you don't. And that's one of the things I've seen a lot of streamers flying this aircraft, not understanding the function of the speed button. And instead they try to enable the VNAV option, which Aerosoft built as like a workaround, but it's not a real VNAV. This is more like, this is the way the plane was intended to be used. Using this to descend. As far as I know, it's the easiest way I found to get this done. I'm not sure, maybe a CRJ pilot can tell me that I'm totally wrong, but this is how I manage it from my point of view. Yeah. And so after we reach the vector, when we're ready, we can put price over vector, go to our descent, and we have to be at 6,000 feet. Let me bring back my Navigraph chart right here. So while we're waiting here, this is where I'm at, by the way. And if we look at our chart, we have to be at 6,000 by TIFL to catch the glide slope. And remember, our radio has to be at 11.111.5 for nav1. Time to go check. Because we're in a descent, you have time, go check the radio. See, nav1 is not matching. So, 111.5 for nav1 radio. Here we go. Now it's matching. You want to do the same on the other side. Okay. So now I have my ILS frequency for my landing, right? So everything is there. This is why you always check to make sure you have the right one. So a lot of people might not know that they think they can't catch the glide slope. It's because they have the wrong frequency. So it's really important. See here, nav1, it says 111.5. It's matching what is in the FMS. So there we go. So there is still a possibility that this aircraft will not catch the glide slope. They seem to be having issue. But if we are not catching it, I have no idea. We're just going to land the plane manually. That's it. That's all we can do. It could happen in real life. There could be a malfunction at the airport, that there is no available glide slope. You do have to be able to handle this situation. Of course, it would be nice if it worked. So what we're going to do when we're ready is we're actually going to change the nav source to what we call lock 1, LOC1. And that would tell the plane that, okay, now we're looking for the beacon for the ILS to guide the plane. All right, everything is hunky-dory here. Now you see we're close to 10,000. So I'm going to reduce my speed. I'm at 258 right now. So I'm going to reduce it to 250. It's going to slow down our rate of descent because it's trying to catch up. See, it's a descent to 50. It's going to slow down the plane, which is what we want. Right? Here we go. And then when it reaches 250, you're going to see here the vertical speed is going to go back down. So it's just trying to catch up with us. So it works basically like a VNAV, you know. Here we go. Oh, I do see some mountains, and I'm concerned. So I'm just gonna hold the altitude here. I'm gonna add some gas, just some fuel, some throttle, to make sure that we maintain it to 150. I'm afraid that we might not be, maybe we descended just a little too low. If you look here, it says that we should be at 23,000 feet. I'm guessing that these mountains here are not our friend because we had a too quick of a descent, too efficient. So what we can do is actually, as you can see here, I'm just changing the altitude. We're gonna go back to 15,000, or just to make sure that we can clear this. And this could happen, right? So what do? There you go. I'm gonna go climb again. Put some power. It says climb at 250. So I'm gonna be at 15,000 just to make sure that we're clearing these mountains. Not gonna take any chances because we're on a vector. Because we're on a vector descent, I can take the time to descend at the flight level I need, and then when I'm ready, I can bring back the plane into our landing, right? So it's important to manage the throttle here as we reach close to 15,000. You know, this is the thing with when you're flying, you have to adapt. We made a mistake here by descending maybe a little too quick, and I needed to make sure that I can clear these mountains in front of us. So just gonna make sure we're gonna trying to maintain 250 here as we reach the caps. And what I'm going to do, it's on out old right now, so everything's good. I'm gonna change it. Oops. I'm gonna make sure that the plane doesn't change, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it back to 7,500. I do have a bug with my controllers. That's why you hear the button. Don't worry about it. Okay. And here, I'm back to 7,500. Okay. This is good because I just want to clear this before I do more descent. Right? But I want to maintain 250. I think we're going to be clear of that, and then I can descend. And what I want to do is I want to slow down, right? I want to put some flaps and really slow the plane down. We're going to do this after we reach Speak or Speak. That's the one that we want to start our descent after we clear these hills here. See, where we're supposed to be at 18,000 right now, and we're at 14,800, so we're gonna cut it a little bit close. I think we might have, hopefully we don't have a warning tell us to pull up. It's kind of hard to tell, right? Maybe too close for comfort. Hopefully it's not the case. We can climb just a little bit if we wanted to. I think we're gonna be good. Ooh, it's turning a little bit. Am I gonna clear this? Probably. Now, I'm a professional flight simmer, guys. You want to follow these rules. I'm just gonna be very close to the mountain from what I'm seeing right now. That's because I managed my descent way too good. Like, I descended way too fast. I wasn't expecting terrain in front of me. But that's okay. That's why these numbers are here, right? And there's always something to learn. Don't forget that this is important, right? Whenever you do flight simming, there is always something to learn. And learning from these mistakes, you know, you're going to start learning these approach as you fly from more and more airport. So I suggest that you try different airports and different types of arrival different types of departure, so you can actually learn how to do different things. What's important is as you fly more and more and more specific aircraft, you are going to learn a lot more about it, how it performs, how it interacts, what is the flight dynamics. You're going to learn all the little quirks. Like I was going a little bit too fast and I wasn't watching my speed and I was accelerating right now. So all of these things, you're going to learn. And don't worry, sometimes you're going to make mistake. I still make mistake all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. You're going to make them. That's why it's a flight sim. You can make mistake, obviously, in real life. That's a different problem. It's a different preposition. So I'm going to look again at my chart on my second screen. I'm looking at it. I have to be 6,000 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change here to 6,000 feet, making sure that I'm at that height. I'm going to go over the mountain. So it looks like we're going to clear them. Maybe a little too close. Normally you would have to be what? 10,000 feet? Okay. It says we should be at 10,000 feet at speak. We're at 14 right now. I'm just going to make sure we pass this area of Salt Lake City. We are at 260,000, 260 knots, sorry, not 1,000, 160 knots. Everything is good. We recovered without increasing our flight height. We would have a crash. So it's important to pay attention. These flight level restrictions are important. I'm gonna just increase my my view here. I like to have a much better view here. Okay, so we're about 10 nautical miles from Speak, and it looks like we're gonna clear it perfectly fine. Let's see. We have enough clearance already. We're good. We're absolutely good. Okay, now it's time for my speed button again. Right? So, speed. You have to press twice. Sometimes it's a little bit finicky. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to slow down the aircraft to 230 because I want some flaps. And also, it's going to slow down the rate under which we descend, because it's trying to slow down the plane at the same time, which give us the time that we need. Here we go. So this is where we're looking for. Don't forget that there is a vector in here, so we have to switch to prize when we're ready. It's descending 230. Here we go. We can actually do one sets of flap already, which is going to help reduce our speed. It's going to increase our rate of descent as well as we approach. This is Salt Lake City right now. Absolutely beautiful area. Love to fly here. Okay, so you want to actually descend about 225. Okay, because that will allow us to do 8 flaps. Here you go. You see? Now I have the 230 and I didn't want to overspeed. So I knew, because I looked at this chart here, of what speed I should be at when I'm descending.
Request clearance to transition Bravo airspace.
Here we go. We're still descending at 2,300 feet per minute. This is good. We had the right speed. Of course, we're going to have to go down a little in speed to below 170 if we're going to give full flaps. But right now, we want to reach our altitude, which is 6,000, right? That's what we want to do. So we're going to concentrate on that first, and then we're going to reduce the speed. And we see that we should reach around 6,000 around here. Now there is a restriction here to be above 7,500 at prize. We're going to ignore that. Now, that's because, you don't always have to follow this when you're flight simming, but you know, obviously the more you follow this, the more to real life you are. But this is just to show you in this flight how to use the CRJ functionality. I'm not here to follow every exact procedure. Just here to control the aircraft the best that we can. So we're going to reduce to 200 knots because I want to go to 30 soon. And so I'm going to add another sets of flaps. So now we're going to be at 20 degrees, which even going to slow down even faster a rate of descent, right? Here we go. So here we are. What I'm going to do is, because we're going to be very, very good in our time, I'm just going to do this. I'm not going to vector in. I'm just going to let the plane follow the plan because we don't need vector. We're good. We can make it. There's going to be no issue with this. So we're going to actually slow down the plane a little more so we can reduce our rate of descent. I'm going to be at 170 because that's the rate I want to be at for my more flaps. We can actually do another sets of flap right now. It's going to be 30, and we can actually land this plane with 30 flaps, believe it or not. It's going to be good enough. We can do full flaps. Usually I do full flaps with this aircraft. Oh, we're hitting that FPS bug a little bit, but it's back up. We dodge a bullet, I guess. Here we are. It's important to remember now that when you hear that beep, to manage your throttle. If you want to keep the speed to where you want to be. All right, it's going to level up the plane right now. Right? I'm managing my speed at the same time. I'm playing with the throttle to make sure that I'm matching the speed I want to be at. Has it reduced the vertical speed? Because vertical speed obviously increase the speed of the aircraft as we go down, right? That's gravity for you. Okay, so now I got some power. I'm almost at 160. Remember, we have to be at 130 for our vref. I'm going to keep some power still, because otherwise it's going to take too long. It's going to pass the airport, and we're going to come back and land this way. So everything is all hunky-dory. We're going to add the last sets of flaps once we reach Priest, right? Once it does the turn, that's when we're going to add that. And then we have gear down. And we change the nav source to lock 1. We catch the glide slope. And then we click on the approach button. I'm going to show you all of that. I'm just giving you some heads up on what we're going to do. I'm at 155. I don't want to go too low than that. I'm just going to keep adding throttle. Don't forget that flaps add some resistance, which slows down the plane. That's why we have them. It's really important. Here we go. We can admire Salt Lake City. As we go, look at our angle of attack is actually very, very good right now. This is the airport. We just got to manage our speed. So this is the part where this aircraft, you got to pay attention to the speed you're going. Always adjust the throttle as we go here. It's going to go here. It's going to turn around. It's probably going to do some kind of S and come back here on this runway. And we're going to land this. And it's going to be beautiful. I'm excited. I love landing this CRJ. It's a fun plane to land. It's a little more difficult than landing an Airbus. in my opinion. It requires a little more attention, especially when you don't catch the glide slope, because it does happen. Um, Regardless of what you see here, it says lock. So we can actually change it once so it means it catch the beacon, right? I mean, we're getting this signal because obviously we're right there next to the airport. But we're not going to change it until it turns around for Tiffle, right? So it just tells you I got a signal. That's how you know. And we have 9 nautical miles. So we'll give the time for the aircraft to come around and turn and come back, right? If we go look at my charts, this is where we are right now. So we're going to go here and come back, right? So we're going to kind of reach out here and then come back down here. Okay. Now, I don't know if you guys are going to comment, but yes, I do use Navigraph. I love the charts. They make everything so much easier for me to fly tube. So if you were thinking about, is it worth it to buy a Navigraph subscription? Absolutely. Now, there is ways you can find charts in the United States for free. One of them is Sky Vector. And if you're flying in UK, you can use, is it Fox Chart, I think, or Chart Fox is one of them. The advantage of just using Navigraph is the Jepson charts all over the world. I don't have to go and look for them. I know I'm going to have them. And that's part of what makes a lot of the quality of life, like when you're flying these aircraft, because you have to do a lot of preparation. So you've seen my first video about flight planning, about 30 minutes. This is the amount of time you spend just before you get into the aircraft. Having these tools like SimBrief, Sim Toolkits, and Navigraph chart just makes everything so much easier. All right, we're about to turn in 4 nautical miles. Let me increase the range here so we can see where we're at. Right? As you can see the blue line here, that's the locator. Right? That's the signal. I'm just going to wait for the plane to turn around. You can admire. Look at that. How beautiful is this? Absolutely gorgeous. I love this coming to this airport, especially because it's within a valley between mountains. Absolutely gorgeous view from everywhere you look. So if you were looking for a place to fly, Salt Lake City is a good one. So we started from Las Vegas today, but you can do it from different area. Obviously, if you come from like Portland or Seattle, you're going to come in from a different way. So just try different routes, you know, and enjoy it. Okay, so we're going to turn now. And while we're turning, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this, the gear, and the flaps. So it's going to slow down the plane. That's normal. I have to add some throttle to compensate. Thank you, Mr. Sun, for blinding us. Okay. We know our vref is 130. I'm going to keep it around that. This is what I'm doing right now. Keeping the vref to 130. I'm full flaps gear down. I'm ready to go. I'm waiting for the aircraft to kind of settle in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it to lock 1. Oh, we have this bug. Oh yeah, I've seen this bug before where it just turns around for no reason. And it was like, what the hell is it doing? Okay, so I put it to lock 1 and the course is 169. So we're going to change the course here to 169. By the way, this is a bug of this aircraft. Right? It's going to go right into the mountain without any reason. So what we're going to do is we're going to do heading mode and we're going to change the headings, basically. Because I've seen this bug before. And we don't want to go into the mountains. What we're going to do is we're going to redirect the aircraft. This could happen, by the way, at any time you have a malfunction. In this case, it's just... I think the plane was confused of where to go. But we're in the heading mode. We're going to redirect the aircraft to where it needs to go. See, that happens a lot in Flight Simulator. Fortunately, it's one of those issues that I've seen before. They need to fix this for sure, right? So I'm actually going to make sure that we go like right here, right? That we cut up here. And once we get close by to this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click back on nav mode. Okay. So there we go. We are doing this, and this is good that it's happening right now, because then you know how to troubleshoot an issue like this one, right? So now that we're here, I'm going to put it on nav. I'm going to remove heading. I'm going to put on nav. I'm going to put it on approach mode. And I want to make sure that my heading is good. Okay. And that should redirect the plane. Let's see if it does it. As we reach closer. It should start doing it. As we get closer. See, we're on course 163, 10 nautical miles. It says we're on locator. I'm curious to see if the plane is gonna do this. Let's find out. Looks like it's not gonna do it, so we're gonna go back to heading mode. We're gonna make the plane go this way. This is why you should always have your heading. There we go. Which is 163 is the heading we want, right? Remember, that's 169, sorry. And we're in course 169. I want to make sure we're in course 169. Adjust the heading to 169. As you can see now, the aircraft is kind of aligned. Now I can go back to nav. Actually, there we go. See? Now, we've managed this. We've managed to bring back the plane where we want it to. Right? And it should bring it up and readjust it. See? Not doing anything. It's bringing the plane back. So there we go, guys. Not only did we had a bug, but we managed to fix it and bring back the plane into our landings. And so I hope you learned something from this and how to recover when it does happen, because it will happen from time. And you see now it says I've reached a glide slope. I saw the thing flashing there. So in theory, it should start going down. Is it catching? It looks like it's not catching the glide slope properly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start doing this manually. This is something people have been complaining a lot about this aircraft, is that it's not really catching the glide slope properly. Even though I was there, you saw glide slope flashing, but it actually did not make the plane start descending. So what I'm doing is I'm managing the vertical speed using throttle. So if I want to go descend lower, I reduce throttle. If I want to go down faster, I can increase. I can do different things. I'm watching the little pepe lights next to the runway. So I'm too light right now, which means I'm perfectly in the right line of descent for this runway. Just trying to keep it in the middle. I'm keeping my vref. I'm a little slow right now, so I can actually accelerate a little bit.
1,000.
Okay. Everything is good. I'm using a flight stick, so I'm not as smooth as if I was using a yoke. My rate of descent is good. It looks like I am aligned, but you know, things could change. I'm going to increase the speed just a little bit. This is one of the issue people do is they say that it nosedive on you. It's because you need to increase speed. This aircraft needs a little bit of speed when landing. Right? So pepe lights are really good right now. Just gonna align and we'll still continue our descent.
500.
This looks very, very good so far. Still well within what we want to do. I guess is descend just a little bit. Descend throttle. Reduce the throttle a little bit. Still good. Still 2 lights. Perfectly, like we have a perfect glide slope. Right in the middle of the runway. Oh, this is beautiful. All right. Make sure we
100.
add a little bit of rudder here because we're a little bit off. And I'm just going to
50,
flare.
40, 30, 20.
A little bit of float here.
10.
And we have a smooth landing and the nose goes down. Ah, this is good. That's a pretty good landing. We have a little float, but you know, I have good speed. I can actually exit right now already. And here we go. I'm off the runway and we have a good landing. And here we are, people. This is how you do it. Now I'm going to bring Sim Toolkit Pro because it's going to record our landing. And what was our landing rate? Minus 118 at 100 knots. I'm going to put this parking brake. So there we go, guys. You have it. This is what we did today in the CRJ. I'm not going to go and park the plane. I mean, that part's pretty easy. So I hope you enjoy this video. This was a learning experience for me as well. If you have some comments, you can leave them below. Just be nice. And leave some likes in there. And if you want to see me do more tutorial, let me know. Thank you guys and see you next time.